Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 goals you can set yourself pretty much straight from Tutorial Island, which will help you get money in the early game. I have found some pretty well-known methods as well as some more unique, lesser known ones. Really the average level for these methods is around like level 15 or 20. So I hope you enjoy and let's get started. Coming in at number 1 is killing tree spirits. For those who don't know, tree spirits are a mob that is unlocked after completing or at least starting the Lost City quest. So the requirements for this method are just going to be 13 for Fire Strike, as well as the completion of Lost City and at least starting Fairy Tales Part 2. The way you get here is with the fairy ring code BKQ. There may be some other ways, but this is the quickest and easiest way. And there's a safe spot for this monster in the northwest of the cavern. Now, the reason this is worth killing is because they actually drop nature runes very frequently, as well as rune axes occasionally as well, and a ton of herbs. Now, you're going to get around maybe 100k an hour here, and you're probably not likely to find anyone else here, so that's pretty cool as well. To get the tree spirit to spawn, you will need to bring an axe with you, and you're going to cut down any tree, and a tree spirit will spawn, but it's a pretty easy method overall. Coming in at number 2 is casting the Bones to Banana spell. Now this one's also a little interesting. You will require 15 magic to unlock the spell, and you're going to make a varying amount of profit. On average, I was getting about 100k GP per hour. Now this one you'll probably need about 500k GP to do it for about half an hour, and this will depend quite a bit on the prices because you have to buy the bones on the Grand Exchange and sell the bananas on the Grand Exchange. And since this spell does an entire inventory at once with one nature rune, you're going to be cycling through a lot of bones and a lot of bananas. I wouldn't rate this as my favorite method, but it is kind of interesting and worth putting on here, I think. You're going to get about 20k magic experience an hour doing this method, as well as around 100k like I said. So you could potentially do about 20k bones an hour, which is going to take, probably like a day to buy off the Grand Exchange, and the bananas will take a while to sell. So ideally you're going to want a mud staff, because if you have extra runes in your inventory, you're going to be losing the efficiency on the cast, because you're going to be losing out on 2 extra spots that would be bones, and otherwise now you're just losing it. So the only thing you should have in your inventory is a stack of nature runes and a bunch of bones, full inventory bones I should say. Once you cast the spell, it'll instantaneously turn all your bones into bananas. Magic, right? And then you'll just repeat the process. So an interesting method, probably not my number 1 though. Coming in at number 3 is crafting gold bracelets. This only requires level 7 crafting to do, and it's a very efficient way of training your crafting in the early levels, because you're going to be getting between 25 and 30k crafting experience an hour. The money per hour can vary, but I was getting on average maybe about 100k an hour. And at those early crafting levels, you're going to be getting levels up so quickly. Now, the gold bracelets don't really have a use beyond alching, and that's what most people will buy them for. However, they sell in the Grand Exchange extremely quickly and almost always for a decent profit. So a very easy place to do this is in Edgeville and running to the Edgeville furnace. You'll just need a bracelet mold and a bunch of gold bars in your inventory. You're going to run to the furnace, use it on there and create about 27 gold bracelets, run back and repeat. One tip worth noting is you should always be running with the least amount of weight on you. So I'm not really sure which one's heavier, but I think it's probably lighter on the way back. Getting to level 7 crafting is very easy. You can complete a multitude of quests that will just get you the experience right off the bat, or you could just train on leather gloves for about 5 minutes. Coming in at number 4 is enchanting sapphire rings. It only requires level 7 magic to enchant a sapphire ring, and you could potentially make about 200k an hour and upwards of 30k magic experience. So enchanting a sapphire ring will give you a ring of recoil, and rings of recoil are used in the thousands every day and are destroyed after a certain amount of uses. So this method will consistently be profitable. One drawback is it is very click intensive. However, with a new update, you can actually see the difference between an unenchanted sapphire ring and a ring of recoil. So all you need to do is withdraw a stack of cosmic runes, an inventory of sapphire rings, as well as wear a water staff. You can do about 1500 casts an hour for about a profit of 200k. However, one drawback is buying the rings. It can be a little expensive. Buying enough for an hour is about 1 mil or 1.5 mil, depending on the prices. Coming in at number 5 is collecting Django berries. Now the requirements for this method are just 10 agility, and the location of Django berries is just east of Castle Wars. So you will need 10 agility to access it via the shortcut, and you're looking for the island with the ogres on it. Django berries are worth about 200 GP each, and there should be a spawn of 4 of them, so you're just going to run around and pick them all up, and then teleport back to Castle Wars. So you should always be wearing a ring of dueling, and if you have access, maybe a energy potion or a stamina potion. It's a very easy method to do, and collecting them will probably net you about 100k GP per hour, again depending on the prices. Django berries are used in a Zamorak brew, so that is why they are at least somewhat desirable. One drawback here is you're not going to gain any experience because it's just a collecting method, but not a lot of people do this. However, it's a really good easy game money and doesn't require any startup cash to do. Coming in at number 6 is growing apple saplings. Now to do this, you'll need a requirement of about 27 farming, so it's a little higher than some of the other ones. However, once you have that unlocked, it's an extremely easy method to do. It can net you about 300k GP per hour depending on the prices. So what you'll need to do is buy apple seeds off the Grand Exchange, which are for the most part dirt cheap. So apple tree seeds are literally 3 GP on the Grand Exchange, so they are dirt cheap to buy. However, the apple saplings are worth about 600 GP, and all you will need is a filled plant pot. Now you can buy these off the Grand Exchange or from a farming shop for like 5 GP each. If you decide to buy them on the Grand Exchange, they are currently only 1 GP, so it's a total of 4 GP it requires to do this. You'll also need a gardening trowel. I will leave a link in the description on how to do this effectively, but so what you need to start by doing is putting the seeds in the filled plant pot, and then you need to withdraw a watering can with water in it and water them all. It's a bit click intensive, but once you get the hang of it, you can do this pretty quickly and net about 300k an hour. Coming in at number 7 is collecting climbing boots. The only requirement for this is the completion of the Death Plateau quest, which is a pretty easy novice quest. Having higher agility or weight reducing equipment would be nice, but is not required in any way. You can net about 300k an hour doing this method. What you will need is some games necklaces, which will allow you to teleport to Berthorpe. From there, you need to run northwest up to Tenzig, and from him you can actually purchase climbing boots. So climbing boots are valued at about 500 GP. Oh wait, no, sorry, they're 75k GP now. So actually this method is like 10 mil an hour, so I'd go ahead and probably do this one above all the other ones. Okay, no, they're only 500 GP. So it's only about 300k an hour, but you have to buy them individually from the shop, which is a little bit of a pain. Once you get into the cycle of going through the menus, you get a hang of it pretty quickly. So you're not going to get any experience from this method, but considering you just need to complete one quest and you could get 300k an hour right from there, it's actually a very effective early game moneymaker. So coming in at number 8 is smithing bronze dart tips. Now the only requirement for this method is level 4 smithing. However, you will also need the tourist trap quest completed, in which case you will actually need level 20 smithing for the quest and 10 fletching. However, besides that, it is a pretty easy quest to do, and once you move up in smithing levels, you can smith higher level darts, which will actually net you more experience and more money in some cases. Smithing bronze dart tips will net you about 120k an hour, as well as about 12k smithing experience. A really easy place to do this is from the Varrock City Bank. If you just withdraw an inventory of bronze bars and run south to the anvil with a hammer and start smithing bronze darts. It's pretty AFK as well. It takes like a minute to smith an entire inventory of the bronze dart tips, and as well as them being stackable is kind of nice. And like I said, once you get your smithing level up, which you will do very quickly at this level, you can start smithing iron dart tips, steel dart tips, and mithril dart tips. They're not always profitable. Iron dart tips and bronze dart tips are normally profitable, but you'll have to check for yourself at the time. Coming in at number 9 is collecting wines of Zamorak. Now the only requirement for this method is 33 magic. However, having level 37 will be useful to teleport to Falador. The GP per hour here at about 33 magic will only be about 200k an hour, depending on how crowded the area is. Once you have the total level requirement of 500, I believe you'll also unlock the second level for the wines. The amount of bots here has reduced quite a bit over the last few months, however, it could easily still be very packed. What you'll need here is a stack of law runes, as well as possibly some food if you're going to be stealing them from the bottom level, because it actually will attack you even if you cast telekinetic grab. That was changed a few months ago. Easily one of the easiest early game moneymakers, and level 33 magic really doesn't actually take that long to get. And coming in at number 10 is unlocking a method to collect more Mire fungus. Now the requirements for this method actually are really only quests for the most part. You will need to complete the Fairy Tales Part 1 quest, as well as start Part 2, but you do not need any of the requirements to start Part 2. You will also need to unlock Mauritania with the Priest in Peril quest. However, once you have done this, you will unlock probably one of the easiest and best early game moneymakers, especially currently. The price of Mire fungus is almost 1,000 each, so this is going to be extremely effective at this level. Also, having a higher prayer level will be very useful. You'd probably want at least 30 or 40 prayer. However, the potential reward here is much higher than the others. You can get about 400k to 600k an hour, depending on how quickly you can do this. Now there's quite a few different variations on this method. However, one easy early game one is going to Zenaris with the Drayman staff. From there you run to the Fairy Ring and teleport to the Fairy Ring BKR. From there you run a little bit north and you can cast Bloom on the decaying stumps. Every time you cast Bloom, you will lose a little bit of prayer points. So if you need to bring a prayer potion, you will need to do that strategically and only if you will make more money by using a dose of prayer potion. From there, you run south back to the fairy ring and bank in Zenaris. Then this method does involve drinking prayer potions, so it is much less effective. At higher levels, there are more effective ways of doing this, but at a low level with only the quests completed, you can probably get about 400k to 600k an hour, depending on your efficiency. Anyway guys, that is about it. Those are 10 easy goals for early game accounts that will actually make you quite a bit of money. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave it a like, and I will see you next time.